Hey, good
I can't
afternoon. Tom
wait.
Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter, Matt Ricketts. This is Smart Business Moves. We have a special guest today, and this is really going to be some good stuff. We have Shawn Hill from NiceJob. These guys are like subject matter experts on getting reviews. They know so much about it. They've built a software platform to help services such as cleaning businesses get reviews, but you can't build software to do something until you figure out how to do it first. So Shawn's going to be giving us a lot of hacks and kind of best practices on how to get reviews. Hey, Shawn, how are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having us on and for that great lead in as well. I feel like I really got to bring it now. It's such a high bar to set for us, but I'm confident that we'll be able to kind of to give out that sort of information based on the software developed, but more so on, you kind of hit it around the head, is NiceJob as a company approached it from a mindset perspective, and the software has come from trying to accomplish that mindset. So what we're looking to do as a company is get businesses the reputation they deserve. Our official tagline is great businesses the reputation they deserve, because if you set up a good feedback and review loop, the feedback and reviews you're going to get are going to reflect what your business is. So we like to approach it purely from an educational sort of standpoint. If you take some things that you hear me talk about today and you would like it automated, or you'd like it a little bit simple, or you want a little help, then NiceJob is great software for that. But ultimately, I want to give you things that you can put in, even if you don't want to use NiceJob with it. So that's the risk we take, because that's who we are as kind of a company and stuff like that. But yeah, how I could start with a question, Tom, or I don't want to interrupt if you guys had some questions coming off the top, but I'd love to ask how familiar you guys are with reputation marketing as the concept, as opposed to reputation management or brand marketing or something like that.
Sort of one of the core principles of how a lot of us run our businesses is to be remarkable before we market. I think is kind of a core principle that I really believe in, is having a good business, because there's nothing that'll drive you into the ground faster than having a poor business, and then, you know, people basically telling the world that you have a poor business. So I think that's a key component. I'm a user of NiceJob as well, and I have a service business as well. And I have some great statistics to back up why people, if they aren't doing something like this, why they should. And I'm a big fan of the product. It's super easy to use, very intuitive. And it keeps getting better.
Oh, we should probably, for full transparency, just say that we all use NiceJob, right? Tom, do you use NiceJob?
Actually, we don't. Probably should. Certainly are considering it. Sorry, Shawn. It's in the consideration list. Just haven't got
one of your branches is testing it.
Okay. Well, we are using it. They just didn't tell me. How about that?
Troy is using it out of Greenville.
Okay.
Well, so Tom, the good news is if you get more interested about it, you now the perfect guy can get you set up and get you fully versed on it. But again, the top question is that reputation marketing. It's not a new term. However, it's kind of an emerging field. So you might have heard of reputation management. What reputation management is where you're trying to collect reviews, and ultimately it's the old practice of collect as many good reviews as possible, so that if you happen to get a bad one, or one of those comes through, that you're constantly getting good reviews. But where reputation management's starting to fall off, and I hate to say that some of our competitors are still stuck in that kind of old mentality, is they don't try to get a ton of feedback that helps you grow your business, right? So it might help you get good reviews, helps you kind of get some good marketing clout, but it doesn't help you actually learn what your business is doing, kind of thrive. And that's kind of like what you said, is if you have that as your core to get better, succeed, the word of mouth marketing goes, the digital marketing kind of follows that. You're using review copy in your ads, things of that nature. Well, that's going to be a core. It's not going to be able to knock you down. Now, brand marketing, of course, is building a brand, is putting something out there. What is our look? What is our feel? What is our vibe? What is our core value in that sense? Well, when you combine those two, you take the elements of both those two sectors, that's how you end up with reputation marketing. And what reputation marketing is that you're collecting as much feedback as possible. You're having a system in place that you can collect reviews extremely easily, but then you're taking the cream of the crop, the gold nuggets, so whatever analogy you want to use, you're using that platinum, feedback right there, that social proof, and you're putting that in the places where people are going to get the most. And what that does with your brand marketing efforts is you can build a brand, and you can build what you think your reputation is. You can go, and I'll make it very simple. You can say, hey, we're the best. But if no one else is saying that you're the best, no one is verifying that they've used you and you've at least attempted to be the best, well, then can you really consider yourself the best, right? I mean, that's the whole point of the Olympics, right? As people are going, I'm the fastest. No, I swim the best. And they're like, all right, prove it, right? And so that's where reputation marketing is really why NiceJob, we've fully aligned and going in this direction, because it's not just about trying to hide the bad and just show the good. It's about taking it all in, which if you're hearing this and you're like, wait, so I'm going to take my angriest customer and get him to leave or he or she to leave a review? Not exactly. But what you want to do is that if you build within your team, you build within your staff, your management, wherever level you want to go in. If you build in of, hey, when we do something, we want to hear the feedback from it. That's going to allow you to get data and allow you to kind of get the information that you need to either make core value changes, structural changes, systematic changes, or at the very least, confirm that what you're doing is improving your business. And how it goes into the leads and sales perspective is when we go back to that social proof core. So that's what I kind of asked at the top is how familiar with reputation marketing is, because, when we on G2 Crowd, a couple of those, we're always listed in the reputation management category. And it really starts to kind of get us, because that might've been where we came from, but we're fully in the future of reputation marketing. And the one thing I want to express today is that is where you should be taking your business into that sort of realm, because it's a cost-effective way to grow and market, but it's also an effective way to really build some key core values. Matt, you mentioned you had some stats. I would be interested to see how our stats compare, because the one that I like to usually lead off with is how people are actually looking online or looking on the internet to use businesses. That's one of my favorite stats out there, but I'm interested to hear what stats you might have, Matt.
Sure. So we started using NiceJob about a year ago. We were at about 160 reviews. Today we have about 263 in the last year. About 13% of everyone that we send the invites to go ahead and give us a Google review or like any of the platforms, but mostly it's being driven to Google at this point. And that's where I really want it to go, obviously, for my Google Map listings and things like that. And really, we ask everyone. So we have it hooked up through our CRM. So we're asking everyone, instead of gatekeeping it, I'm just like, go for it. Like, I know we're doing a good enough job. And we typically send them out at noon the day after. So we've had a chance to follow up with any customers, solve any issues before that goes out anyway. But no gatekeeping, just sending it all. And what I love, though, is you'll get it in big bursts, because we do a lot of recurring business. And so when you start, so everyone knows, you just don't keep asking every customer every time. It times it so you only ask them, I believe it's once every 6 months, and maybe you can even set that even less frequent. I have not looked in the settings of that, but I found once every 6 months is acceptable. I think that people don't get upset. And so all of a sudden, like when a lot of your customers kind of fall back into the cycle, you'll start and you'll get like a big pop one week and you'll be like, oh, it just asked a whole bunch of people again. So I find that to be fantastic, where you'll see these, like I had a big pop a week or two ago where I got 13 in a week, and I was like, oh, I guess we kind of hit like a 6-month cycle again or something like that.
Well, what Matt's talking about there is within the NiceJob software, when review requests are sent out, whether you're automating it through a CRM or you're doing a manual process, which is also available. There's a cooldown period we call 6 months. And it's actually set at 6 months for a particular reason. So after 6 months, that 7-month, 8th-month mark is really when you want to have clients that have left a review update their review. For one, from the psychological reason, is I call it like the Pabst Blue Ribbon effect. Like, they didn't win the blue ribbon in 2020. They won it a while ago, and they've just been riding that ever since, right? So someone saying you did a phenomenal job and you found out that was 2 houses ago, that they live in a different state now, doesn't really add as a great testimonial. So we think having that, one, gives relevancy from the psychological standpoint, but also from Google's perspective, some search engine perspective and things like that. Updating that user-generated content, which is a term we'll throw out a good amount of time, helps show that these are relevant reviews and that it's relevant content that should factor in to your algorithmic standing. So by updating reviews every 7 to 8 months, that allows you to kind of benefit from a little bit of that juice. Now, I want to make it very clear, this isn't like if you update your reviews every 8 months, you're going to be page 1 guaranteed, map 1, and it's all done. Like, SEO is a little fickle dance, so to say. But it's giving you the advantage to do that. So as I like to say, and again, not the technical, the mental thing of it, is that if Google algorithm is coming down and it gets close to a tie, having extra reviews is going to kind of put you over the top and having relevant reviews. But I think going back to that psychological point, that people seeing recent reviews, and also if you preface it right, like Matt, I don't know with your sequence, if you talk about you follow up, you do it the next day, so you have a chance to have a phone call, maybe a conversation, addressing the last minute issues. But you can also preface that customer of, hey, we want to just thank you again for being a long time customer of ours. I know you left this review, last year. We'd love for you to update it. We're going to send you the review link again. If you want to leave it on a different platform, it's great. But talk about the evolution, because sometimes customers want to see that. So yeah, maybe they do a great job, but if I'm going to come back and have a recurring service with them, how does the review actually update? And we found more often than not that people tend to reference that when they say like, yeah, so-and-so in the neighborhood used it, and I saw, they were really happy. And then I saw that, they just upgraded with you, or they did something like that. So being able to kind of to tell that story with it. So yeah, man, that's why we put that 6 months in particular for that particular benefit.
Two things. I think what you said is great. There's the preface that is, you have an opportunity before those reviews out, to call your new customers and check in how the job went. And if they say it went great, be like, hey, we're gonna ask you for a review. It's gonna come here in a minute, and it's really important to our team. It's really how we measure success in our company, and it really helps us, find more great customers like you. I don't know the exact verbiage that my sales team uses, but something along those lines. And I'll double check now that we're having this conversation to make sure the verbiage is clear and good. But the other thing is, 2 out of the 4 most relevant factors of why you get found in the map pack have to do with review frequency and review score. But review frequency is more important than anything else. And so, yeah, getting those fresh reviews for everyone listening, everything that was just said, note that down. Getting your customers to re-review you is not a problem. Even if it drops from a 5 to a 4, well, next time you ask them, it'll hopefully go back up to a 5. It's okay if that happens,
Yeah.
and they can give you a 5-star again. That happens all the time. And I love that when I see those. So we probably have a lot more reviews than 263 when you count those re-reviews. That's a great thing to think about.
Sean,
And that's also,
Sean, you got me stuck on the Pabst Blue Ribbon thing. Is the thinking it's hard to imagine a time when Pabst would have won a blue ribbon? Or yeah,
I think with the PBR thing is that it's kind of taking one thing and building the brand around it, but it's also like, would someone born in the last 21 years just make sure they're legally compliant to hang out with Pabst Blue Ribbon? Does the blue ribbon actually mean things to them, right? Are they going to county fairs? Or have their entire lives have trophies always been metal little statues because they're easier to produce? Like, I used to think I was well accomplished. Then I realized I could buy my own trophies, and now I'm great at everything, Tom. But it's the blue ribbon. I don't go buy many blue ribbons. But the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people, you'll see it in certain industries, they find that one glowing, it almost looks like they paid a copywriter to write it, and they put it everywhere. Right? Mm-hmm. Anywhere, it's like, it's going to be this testimonial. We're going to hear about Jane's house. We're going to hear about and we're going to hear about that because it's so good. And yeah, you know what? It probably is effective because it tells the story completely, and it talks about how great the service was. And you talk about how you solved all their pain points and changed it. But how relevant is it to now? And I think by having, at the very least, the ability for you as a business owner to look, say, in your NiceJob dashboard, see all your reviews there, see the platforms around, but able to look and go, hey, this tells a specific story that might help us get a newer audience, right? So this is where anytime I give a conversation or talk or presentation like this, I always need to make this qualifier of I am not in the industry at the moment. So when I give some of these examples, sometimes they sound like goofy things, but perhaps it's a brand new type of carpet or a brand new surface or something like that, and you were able to successfully clean that. Well, how many newer homes or things like that have that type of surface? And it'd be good for you to say like, hey, this person says we're an expert in this thing. And maybe they don't say it as eloquently, and maybe they don't go into super details, but the fact that they say that you use this, ABC type of cleaner on this XYZ type of fabric, if that's new and relevant, the customer that's looking, that has their concern about their XYZ type of fabric, that's going to bring them in. And that's why I talk about reputation marketing. It's having all this available and being able to now have diversity in your ad copy. And then as Matt, as you kind of said, is, we see that drop from a 4 to a 5, or, some of those changes as review time over time, is you're now able to monitor your reputation and see where it's going and make changes before all of a sudden out of nowhere. The next question that I usually would want to ask at this point, I think it's good, but we kind of touched on is,
before you go, there's one thing you touched on I think people should really think about too is you have a chance to respond to these reviews, and there's some SEO benefit in the way you describe like these surfaces and things like that. So even if they didn't say it perfect, you actually have a chance to drop some keywords in there. Like if you're like an expert at marble cleaning or window cleaning or some specialty thing, you'd be like, hey, thanks for responding. You have a chance to drop some SEO keywords and some really powerful, now you can put links back in it, but some verbiage that'll actually help you improve your rank. And again, who knows what Google's looking for exactly, but I have faith that actually has some benefit in getting found in search for specific keywords, especially your Google My Business listing.
I've heard that, even to the point of if you drop the name of the town and the name of your company in the response, that could help your local SEO. Is there any merit to that, Shawn?
So the correct answer is a tiny bit. The most appropriate answer to this is realistically, it's probably not going to be enough to be a game changer. However, there is no loss of your time in doing so, right? So maybe by putting your specific town, it's Google, the algorithm's not going to be like, oh man, this is the business, like I said. But if remember that, who's on the internet? Humans. And I always like to go back to that is if I'm looking and I am looking through reviews, and maybe you kind of heard this tactic like, oh, what I do is I look at the top 3 best and the top 3 worst. That's how I get the true opinion of the business. But if I'm going and I'm researching, and I'm looking through and I'm reading replies, the more I see that might identify to me as an individual from, hey, you're cleaning this type of marble, to like, hey, we love the fact we got to meet your dog. And me as like a big dog person, I'm like, they're dog people also? Great, take that, alley cat cleaning. But it's just a relevant sort of thing. Sorry, go ahead.
I totally agree about the relevance piece. And when Matt was talking about, dropping in marble, etc., even if you don't get the SEO push of it, I don't really care because I want the customers. The customers are coming on and going, oh, marble. Yeah, I have marble. That sounds like a company for me. And to Tom, to your point, maybe what you can do is get a little bit of an additional bonus that I know does work is mentioning the neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. So like if you have Eagle Crest, mentioning Eagle Crest, which is a big, huge neighborhood, that's going to get you a little bit more of a relevant buzz to the customer. I'm going to be like, oh, Eagle Crest. Oh, I know Eagle Crest. That's a great neighborhood. Even if I don't live there, I know them. I know where it is. It's a golf community, right? So I think there's a lot to relevance there. I did have a quick question though. Yeah. Shawn, Matt said something and then you said something and I kind of got a little bit mixed up. I heard that every 6 months you want to be hitting people up again. But then Matt said that 1 week he got like 13 reviews all in 1 week. You're not sending all the reviews out to everybody. And then in 6 months, it's all going out to them again. And that's why he got 13. Can you explain that just a little bit better?
Yeah. So when someone, so the way, just speaking of NiceJob perspective is NiceJob starts off with a text message, and then can follow it with up to 3 emails. So within a 2-week period, you should be able to collect that review. The reason we have those follow-ups is we understand life gets in the way. You get a text message, dog knocks something over, you get distracted, you get a text message, or you get another text message, those sort of things. But the software is designed that when someone leaves a review, you'll take them immediately out of the campaign. So if you send that first text message, they leave a 5-star review on Google, they don't get any follow-up emails, they don't get reached out again. So that's that. But then what it also does, it doesn't allow them to be re-enrolled in a campaign for 6 months. So if you were to go back and service them again, you couldn't request a review in 3 weeks, let's say. But if after 6 months, you would service them again, they're now eligible to enroll in the campaign. So not automatically enrolled. There's some people that choose almost, I don't say like never to do so, but just if they're doing pure manual invites. A lot of times where we see, and Matt, I'm not quite sure if this is your exact setup, but ones that either use like a CRM or some other trigger where they're not going in and pressing the button every time within NiceJob, those are usually see, well, after 6 months, since those people are eligible for a campaign again, they'll come through. And if the scheduling is pretty consistent, that's probably how you end up with a lot of those reviews coming through in a week.
So Liz, just to be perfectly clear, right? So I start NiceJob a year ago, and we have a lot of the same customers because our churn is low. So, and 95% of my business is recurring. So basically there's a 4-week block every year where like all of a sudden we get a bunch of reviews, because a lot of those customers that were originally enrolled will kind of end up kind of getting re-enrolled around that 6-month anniversary of when we started with NiceJob. So not a problem. I don't see a problem with it. It's just the way that the workflow is, because we already had a big customer block and then started the program. If you were starting from scratch, you wouldn't have those big cycles.
Yeah,
and also it also comes down to eligibility as well. So from that same token, is there might be someone, Matt, scheduling that they've left a review and you go back and have serviced something or something like that, and it's not quite 6 months, it's 5 months and a couple of days there, and they might not get out of that cooldown period. The reason I said that we do the 6 months is that's probably the bare minimum that you'd want to separate someone updating their review from the SEO perspective, but also sometimes from the just the storyline perspective, right? 6 months is definitely half a year. It's definitely a long time, especially with the last year we did. 6 months can feel like 6 years. But we found that it's kind of after 6 months is when you really kind of start considering it. Also, for some people that use NiceJob within the seasonal business realm, we found that's kind of really good to keep it within seasons. So some people that have something at the beginning and then maybe the end, it usually doesn't fall within that period. So it almost becomes sort of a yearly update. Now, if you wanted to, for example, someone left a review and it was, a 3-star, or even 4-star, and then you go back in a month and you really knock their socks off, there's things you can go place where you can, delete them out and get them back in to leave a review and get another review request. So make it clear that if someone, leaves a review for you and you think you have a chance to win them back and upgrade them a little bit, there is a way to kind of a manual process to go and still use the power of NiceJob to collect the review, without that. But the reason we do the cooldown period is for businesses that want to be fully automated. It allows you to kind of really get at the peak success. And to kind of go to the beginning of when to ask for a review, that's also sometimes we kind of have that period in there of the 6 months, but also while we start with the text and the follow-up after that, is Matt talked about doing it, the following day at noon. As we always say, like the moment of peak happiness is the best time to start that review campaign process. But we've also found, and Matt, you might have discovered this as well, is sometimes right afterwards, that's the expected moment of peak happiness. But sometimes there's so much going on and they're so happy that the problem's just solved that they don't really leave an in-depth review perhaps at that point. So as long as you have a good follow-up process, you're staying connected, then if you're doing it the next day, you're starting the sequence after that. But for leaving a review, this great software is going to help you, absolutely. But it still comes down to the customer experience that you're giving and setting that up to like, hey, now we're going to ask for a review at this point, and you should have primed them at that point to be ready to tell you exactly the experience they had, and hopefully it's 5-star with some glowing detail.
Okay,
Shawn,
I had my hand up, Tom.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Liz. I have a
question
question in Facebook that's been sitting here a while, but.
Okay, go. You go.
Sure? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, the question is, how does NiceJob track who's left reviews and who hasn't, so you aren't hitting them up after every job?
Yeah, so NiceJob has native integrations with just all, majority of the platforms out there. Pretty much the ones that we don't have native integrations with are ones that are not working with other softwares right now. So I would say Nextdoor falls in that category. They're hard enough to crack. But things like Yelp, for example, they don't allow third-party direct connections for a variety of reasons I will not go into now about the Yelp landscape. But just to use Google as the prime example, because it's definitely the king there, so what NiceJob does is NiceJob uses sort of the AI and the stuff that we have with that native integration to determine when you go to leave a Google review, you have to be logged into your Google account. So if that customer has a Google account that's identified, it's able to direct and leave them right there on that platform. So it makes it super quick, super simple for them to do so. And then through that, what NiceJob does is scrapes the reviews that are posted. So when you leave a review on NiceJob, or through NiceJob, I should say, Matt kind of talked about the review gating or gatekeeping in that sense. Review gating is a bad practice. If you're using a software that does it, I would highly recommend you leave it. You don't have to come to NiceJob. Just don't get your Google My Business to suspend it by continuing to do review gating. What review gating is the process of you send the email and rate us on a scale of 1 to 10. And if it's 8 and above, you go to the platform. If it's 7 and below, you go to a private email box where you can yell into the ether. It's against Google's policy. If they find out and identify it, it's a little bit harder for them to find out, but they find out, they will shut you down and you're going to be in a real bad spot there. So what NiceJob is able to do with that direct connection is we're able to, once it's posted on Google, so when someone leaves a review, it doesn't go in a NiceJob thing and the NiceJob posts it later. It posts directly to the Google My Business platform, directly to Facebook, directly to Better Business Bureau, all those review sites. And then NiceJob will scrape those sites and collect it back into your dashboard to give the idea to do things like you can reply to reviews, especially Google, right within the NiceJob dashboard. You can automate share to your social media channels. What it also does, it allows us to identify with the people tab in NiceJob and make those connections. So when we talk about matching it up is if the name is exactly how it is on the invoice or something like that, their Google account, things like that, then it matches right away. For instance, I just about everywhere from NiceJob, actually in Shawn Hill with a Y. So my Google account is Shawn Hill. So if I were to leave a review, we pull back in a NiceJob as Shawn Hill, and the software would then try to identify and say, hey, is this Shawn Hill? Or is this S Hill? Maybe that's how you wrote it on the invoice, Or is it, maybe it's my wife's name, is her name on there, and they try to match with the last name. So what the smart matching software does is that if it's easy to identify, within that 98% security, it's going to automatically match it. If not, it's going to let you know, hey, is it this person, this person, this person? Once you make that match, it takes them out of the queue. So it syncs up in that regard because they're leaving an official review first. If they were leaving it with us, it would probably get a little bit harder in between. So because it's a direct integration, we're able to kind of tell. And because the way the software is built is it will determine things like if your customer has Facebook installed on their phone, so you can open up directly in an app and maybe review. See if they have, a Google account connected, things of those nature. And then if worse comes to worse, there's also a NiceJob microsite, a NiceJob platform that now runs on a Google shortcut, so even more connected there. But to guarantee that you'll be at least have some place for them to be reviewed. But the way the matching works is because we're identifying when the review is posted, pulling that back in and then making a connection at that point.
Yeah, I had a question for Matt. Matt, you had mentioned that Made Central, you have it hooked up to NiceJob so that
not directly. I use, so all of my invoices are created in Made Central through QuickBooks Online. So I just basically hooked QuickBooks Online up. So every time Made Central creates an invoice the next day, so we do all of our billing the next day at noon, just as a convention. As soon as we process payrolls, one click in Made Central, QuickBooks creates an invoice with the data like their email address, their phone number, all that stuff. That gets passed to NiceJob, and NiceJob parses all that and creates a review request. So it's not direct, but because of the way that the Made Central directly integrates with QuickBooks Online, I don't have to hook it up directly. It works perfectly based on every invoice that I create.
Yeah, so we have a native integration with QuickBooks. So if you're using whatever software prior to QuickBooks that doesn't directly integrate with NiceJob, there is a direct integration there. So yeah, exactly how Matt described it, that's how it goes. When he hits the trigger, which would be sending the invoice, I believe you also can do a close invoice, but I would have to double check with that on QuickBooks to trigger, and that data comes over. In fact, with some of the new topic insights some of the review insights and things that we are have added into NiceJob, you actually within your people tab in NiceJob can see the complete story. So almost when the invoice is sent, when the invoice is paid. Obviously, you're seeing all that in QuickBooks, but also give you a chance to go back if you have a review you want to dive a bit more in. So it's a glowing 5-star, maybe it's a 4 that you thought was going to be a 5. You actually can see the full customer journey there as well.
Yeah.
So my question, Matt, was, can you do these videos periodically, the webinars? Can you do one on that, connecting it?
I have a video in Made Central. I'll pin it to the top of the Made Central user, the Made Central public group. Yeah, I'll share it with you.
All right, thanks, Matt.
I'll tag you.
All right.
Yeah, and that's why we're always looking to find ways for people to use NiceJob in an automated sense. But I would also love to say, if you're using it as a fully automated software, saving you time, saving you energy, but we're starting to add a couple more things in there that really allowed you to get a clear representation of what your reputation are, to go further down that path to talk about at the top of the show, that reputation marketing path. So you're collecting all these gold reviews, but then also have some tools to be able to kind of do more with it. But again, going back to that top is the value or the message I kind of want to share here is the way you can start collecting more reviews is one, as you kind of say right off the top, is like asking. Like go make it part of your process that you're going to ask. So many people say like, I don't want to beg for reviews. And my response in the comedic sense is like, then don't. just ask. If they say no, okay, on to the next one. If they say like, I really love you, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to do it. Okay, they said they love you, go with it. And I think that just alone, some people are afraid to ask or build it as part of their process. But if you tell them
if you really loved this, you would give us a review.
Yeah, I totally agree with Shawn there, though. It is, some will get all hurt because the client wouldn't leave them a review because they've got this process and whatnot. But yeah, some people like have privacy reasons, like for their jobs or things like that, and they just can't. So you just have to take it as what it is. They're happy with you. It'd be awesome if they could do a review, but not a big deal. You asked. You can't get your feelings hurt about asking. I think a lot of people get scared to be told no. It's just sales 101, right? This is just selling.
And I think additionally, what the fear ends up being, Matt, is that they're like, well, I performed a service. I charged you what I feel is a fair value for that service. Is now I'm asking for a review. Is it like I'm asking for more, right? Because some people get this in their mindset that every customer is like, well, I'm paying you. Shouldn't that be enough? And quite honestly, is that it's such a relationship, especially if you're going to be going back and servicing again, if it's a reoccurring service, is the whole reason that they're looking at reviews and trying to identify you're the right person is they don't just see it as a one-off transaction. And even if they do see it as a one-off transaction, they still will kind of tell you like yay or nay. And sometimes that's all the feedback that you may need. But asking for reviews is going to help. If you use something like NiceJob or you have a process in place to make it simple, so now even though you're asking, it really isn't any sort of extra effort on their part. It's it's one click, a couple of words, they're done. That's going to help increase it as well. And then also, if you are displaying your feedback in ads, which one of the recent studies we did showed like a 300% click-through rate increase by having ad copy in there as opposed to just something static. By having that and doing that, that shows from step one, that first touch point, that hey, whatever you're saying, we're passing right along and putting out there, and that makes you so open in their mind, so open to a conversation, so open to a relationship, that more often than not, you'll start preventing bad reviews because they feel like they can bring up objections or questions earlier. Most bad reviews happen because of failure to meet expectations. Now, the expectation could be unreasonable. I thought it was going to cost $10 and only take 10 minutes. Like, okay, good luck with that. But that also means that maybe you weren't able to explain why it's going to take longer than 10 minutes. Or maybe you didn't explain why the value is in more than $10, right? It could be completely not your fault, but almost all bad reviews come from failure to meet some sort of expectations. And if you're able to say like, well, hey, let us know. We're open to feedback at any point in the process. And at the end, we're going to complete our day transaction or, whatever the time period is. We're going to complete it by asking you to leave us an official review. Whether they do or they don't at that point, you've already built in a process that's going to make it very clear for the people on your team what expectations are, the quality work they should be doing. So make it very clear to your ideal customer of why you're the right fit for them. It's also going to make it very clear for the customers you'd love to move on from of why you might be outgrowing them or why something like that, because it's always been an open conversation. And more and more, especially what we've done over the past 2 years, that's what people are looking for in any type of business, in any sort of situation, is they want a relationship where they don't feel like a fool. They feel like there's a little trust there, but they also want to feel like they have at least the smallest modicum of control. And even if it's just an objection at one point, they want to feel that. So by building this reputation marketing engine, like I said, whether it's through software of NiceJob or just taking some of the tips I had and trying to make it work on your own, building that in is going to help your business exponentially, and that's why we consider it the future.
There's two things I want to unpack. Maybe Liz, do you have something?
I do real quick.
Go ahead.
Also, one more thing is, as far as setting expectations, if you're going to use a review software platform, you're going to be going for reviews, you need to understand these things. Not everyone will do a review for you. Have that be an expectation. And not everyone is thrilled with your service, even if you're amazing. That's just both of those things you have to know. Need to have those in your head as an expectation, so that when those two things happen to you, you won't be taking them personally and you won't be knocked off your own game.
Yeah. So
go
ahead, Tom.
We've talked previously that quality is defined by expectation and perception, so whatever your customers are expecting, if they perceive that they're getting it, then by definition they're getting quality service. And you really want to get ahead of the expectation thing. You want to make sure that you have clear scopes of work and you're communicating clearly, the service that you're delivering, that you know what they expect and they know what they should be expecting. And a lot of times in the cleaning industry, it's like, do you clean homes? Yeah, we clean homes. And it's kind of like apples and oranges. Do you sell fruit? Yeah, we sell fruit. And you show up with bananas and they were expecting oranges. So you really have to own the establishing the expectation and make sure your clients know what you're doing before you do it. It was, I think Bruce Vance, shared the idea that if you tell them beforehand, it's professional service. If you tell them after the fact, it's just an excuse. So the expectation is an important part of it.
There's two things to unpack that I got from like that last segment from Shawn as well, was that first off, your customers aren't going to know to do this if you ask anyway. I was just thinking about this. I had a great plumber over at my house the other day. They didn't ask for a review, and I wasn't even thinking about it until this conversation. But had they asked me or put it and made it easy for me, it would have been the first thing I did. They still send out paper invoices. They don't do anything digitally, so it makes it harder for customers to leave a review. So that was one thing, is that you can't expect to get any reviews if you don't ask. So if you've got 10 now and you've never asked, you're going to have 10 a year from now, or maybe a couple more that just organically happen. But that's part of it. And then NiceJob also does some really cool things on my website that I love. If you want to talk anything about the widgets that you add, like to help share that information with users, I find those to be fantastic, social proof right on the website.
That it is really cool. We need to pop it up and share that.
Are you talking about the Engage widget in particular?
I've got two of your widgets on my website. I'll go to betterlifemaids.com and I'll do a screen share real quick.
I was trying. If you're talking about the Engage, I was going to look for that one. I used to have it. Unfortunately, I don't have it on my setup here, but I used to have it where I had it pop up as a GIF here, so I actually could show it off when we were debuting it. I don't have it available today on my software right now. It's my other computer, but but as you see the widget, you saw down the lower left-hand corner there.
Kind of disappeared there for a second. It'll pop back up, but I've got
in about 7 seconds.
There we go. Right down here.
Yeah. So click on that actually, if you can. So that's going to open up. So what this Engage widget is showing is it'll show recent reviews and bookings, depending on the CRM that you have connected there. And you can go and kind of read those through, but every 7 seconds, something kind of pops up, and that's going to help the conversion rate on your website, which if you're not familiar with conversion rate, that's when you take a visitor and have them then take an action on your website. The one in particular in the center there is the trust badge. So this is taking some, good recent reviews from your, from all your platforms, giving the full average there, and then allowing people, as you kind of saw with Matt there, to go and click through and see those review pages right on there. Matt, I don't know if you've checked out your review.new yet. That's not a widget, but that's kind of the microsite there.
I haven't looked at the microsite. Right over here on the left-hand side here. Where am I looking at that?
Yeah, so actually, if you go to your URL there, just a brand new page.
Okay.
And type in review.new.
Okay.
And hit enter there. So that's going to take you to this local site there. Now in your search, go ahead and search yourself up on the right.
Oh, you guys are building your own platform.
Not necessarily. So this is through a Google short link. So similar to how you can open like a Google Docs by doing docs.new.
Okay.
So what we're doing with the review.new is your URL, and you can find the exact one in your NiceJob dashboard there, is you now have, I would assume it's review.new/better-life-maids.
Okay.
So people that love, if they still use paper invoices or things like that, is you can now have this direct Google short code that'll go right to review platform. And when people go to leave a review, so if you try to leave a review there, it'll give them the options to leave it on different platforms as well. So it's not just collecting on a small microsite, as you said, like you're building your own platform. We're not trying to build things to take reviews away from Google, away from Facebook, better from BBB and all that other stuff. We're just trying to make a cool short link. So that NiceJob down there, yes, there's the ability on the microsite, but you saw when Matt opened it there, the top two that he had displayed, that he wants displayed, those are what come up first. And if people want to scroll through, they can find the others. But the widgets in particular, go onto your website. are to give clear, concise trust badges or clear, concise ways for people to see, what your reputation is. There's a stories widget that allows you to take reviews and also combine photos as well to really show an accurate picture of what the review context is. Obviously photos of your work. And then as you also saw, the engage widget is real-time social proof. And one of my favorite things is if you have one of the connected CRMs where you can show bookings as well, is sometimes if you catch it at just the right time, if it's within a day or two, you actually can see the full customer journey. So we actually on our YouTube page have an example of it where it's like, John booked 4 days ago. And the next thing says, John left a 5-star review. And you go, wow, that's the whole customer journey.
That's super cool, except we're all booked like 6 weeks out right now because of the staffing shortages we're facing. We're starting to get ahead of that a little bit, but that would be super cool. Tom, we need to talk about that. No, I'm kidding. But it's that's a neat feature. We have online booking and sales through Made Central. So that's another conversation to maybe make this more native, because I could see the benefit of that. That's a pretty cool thing to see the customer journey and social proof, not just in the review, but in the fact that other people are buying from you. That's very powerful.
Yeah, and the fact that you said when you click in that those recent ones come up is that you're just seeing that it's not just a pop-up random copywritten testimonial. You can click all the way through and see the actual review written. You can kind of just see it just enough there. And so that's the part that we wanted to make sure to kind of build into it, is that these aren't like tricks and gadgets. They're just effective ways to take social proof in the real time from Engage. I say real time with Engage because it updates the quickest, but your stories, your trust badge, like those are also usually within an hour or so being posted, constantly updated. And going back to search engines, things of that nature, that's all user generated content that's being added into. So more reviews, it gets your site updated, but it's amazing. And I love this layout here, is that you see, it's such a beautiful layout there. I know that's not our exact, that widget down there
that's not yours,
not so much, but
this is going back to your point of like, you always pick your best reviews. Of course, we kind of cherry pick some, but then below it, I wanted them to be able to see, hey, these aren't just, the ones that we picked. You can actually go and actually get social proof, like right from the source.
Exactly. And having this is where we talk about, the time savings, right? Is if you just want to throw the widget up there, have your most recent, that's great. If you have a little design, or you have the ability to pick some of your best ones and put them, as you've done here, Matt, like that's all possible. But the core concept of you're using social proof to help not incentivize, but help, build that trust, build that reputation, and show them, hey, go ahead and click book now. Go ahead and give us a call. The proof that you're looking for is right here. That's what's so great. I want to go back one point, Matt. You talked about you used a plumber and they didn't ask you for a review. Do you remember the name of the plumber?
You know what? Not right off the top of my head, because it's kind of a hard name, because it's like a local family. I wish I did right off the top of my head. They're great though. Yeah,
and so the thing is that you and I might be talking and like, oh man, the pipes, I just bought a new house, and you're like, oh, I had a great plumber. They were awesome. They came early, and it's like they weren't even there. And was it Hoffman? It's a family. Right. I couldn't think of it. But now again, I want to make it very clear. This is going to be a stretch scenario, but true. If they had sent you a text and you were able to leave a review, not only would they have your verification. So if I go and I look local plumbers near me, I find their site and I see your name, like, oh, that's Matt. But also, you now would be like, oh wait, you know what? They sent me a text. Let me see. Oh, that's who it was. Or, oh yeah, actually, you know what? They sent me. And so as dumb as it sounds, it's like the little business card leave behind, right?
Yeah, I would remember their name. I could go to their, yeah, you're right. Those are all good points, because I just have a statement downstairs. I'd have to go down to my credenza and grab open the statement and just to remember their name. My wife booked them, and they're great. I mean, fantastic, fair pricing, good work, but not memorable because I didn't do all this stuff. So God, you're right. This is more sticky.
Exactly. And it's a small little thing. So people that, if you're like, well, look, I'm word of mouth. We've been word of mouth for 30 years into that, like word of mouth gone digital, but also giving your customer, the old tagline of make them part of your marketing team, make them part of your sales team. By sending out these review requests, by having a connection with them, by being able to reply within app and building that relationship, is you now give them all the opportunity. Especially like, I love it. I see this when you post a review on Facebook and then you go in and you'll maybe tag them in the comments. Like, hey, Matt, we shared your feedback. Well, then Matt goes and likes it. And then Matt's friends see that he liked the post and they go figure out the post. Like that exponential growth, that's word of mouth really sort of expanded. And that's like I said, I can't sell it as a benefit. Can't sell as a full benefit of like, we're going to have a text message from you, because some people get a ton of text messages and it gets lost immediately. However,
that's
just in that
smart.
little scenario, there was,
replying to them, that's really smart about replying to them and maybe even tagging them again in these responses. That's pretty smart. And I think even like you could even like we automatically promote them back on the different platforms, but we could try and tag them, especially when they come in via Facebook. Again, be like, hey, we wanted to let you know we shared it with our user group. Like, we're so happy. Thank you again. That's awesome. Like, that's a really good little extra hack to make it a little stickier with that customer.
And then additionally is, depending on, I'd always say we always encourage to share photos of your work. Always make sure that you're okay to share photos, especially if you're, in people's homes. Most don't mind, but you just want to make sure you don't get the one person that's hiding out from something. But that's another great opportunity of, oh man, they were so clean. They made my carpet look better than ever before. And you go and you show a photo of it and you say like, thanks, Steve. Like, we think it looks great as well. And you tag Steve in it. Well, then Steve goes and likes it. And because it's a photo of his home, it strokes that nice ego of most humans out there. Maybe he shares it again. And again, that's exponential growth from the network. But these are all the benefits of having a simple system that then gives you the ability to benefit from all the extras, right? To benefit from this networking, from this further social proof. But if you're not going back to kind of the core, what I make sure you take away from this is, if you're not going back from building into your business, we are going to try to collect reviews. We're going to make it clear that we want to do a good enough job that you want to review us, and we're going to make it simple for you to do so. That's that first building block. That's the first thing that builds this whole empire of reputation marketing.
Awesome.
Martha just said hello, Shawn, from QDS. Says QDS users love your platform.
Integration between those two as well. So you can use the power of QDS and NiceJob together for kind of the ultimate feedback system.
Yeah, it's a fantastic integration. It's a great, Martha's product is all about, a lot of people in our industry for years never surveyed customers because A, they didn't have a system that was built for it. And then B, they didn't have maybe the courage to ask. So, now if they're using something like QDS or Made Central or some other software where surveys are built in, they'll feel the confidence when they already know that they're doing a good job just to turn this on. Just ask everybody, because you're already rocking, you're already producing great results. You're surveying your customers and over half of them are giving you good feedback already. That's a pretty good indication you are doing an awesome job. Ask them for reviews. Like, quit waiting for your competitors to do it. I had some competitor eat my lunch in reviews a year ago because I wasn't on NiceJob yet, and they went from nothing to like 300. So I got to catch up.
Yeah, and the other thing with the QDS sort of integration is, again, that's you can continue to go that depending on how regularly you're servicing. So if your client's in the NiceJob cooldown period, you don't have to worry about not being able to use QDS, something like that. Like, you could still kind of use that. So it allows you to kind of give, to kind of build your system in. And usually the biggest, hesitation that we hear are people just are afraid to continue those conversations or to ask. And I guess I'm here to kind of wave the flag of, ask, let them be a part of it. Survey them, ask them for a review, ask them if you could share a picture of the work you did. Because all those things are going to build a real community and start bringing you, more leads and more sales, the things you're looking for on the tangible end, but it's going to build a stronger foundation for your business, which is, the key, depending on you want to grow to be a global enterprise, or you just want to be, happy, successful, and not have any stress for the next couple of years. Either way, you're going to be able to accomplish those goals by building these systems.
Awesome. I think you want to take off as much of the manual process as you can. So I wanted to show you these pictures. These are ones we did manually because, the customers mentioned them by name on a survey. So we took them out of the automation process and sent them some manuals. So we sent some employee pictures just to hyper engage that review to make it even more personal, because they said, in this particular one, that Precious did a great job, or Connie above did a great job. So we hyper personalized it with the employees' photos when we sent the review too. So that's another thing you can do to make it even more about the employees and the engagement. The relationship, it can become even tighter.
Yeah, and it's also great. We heard the story. I think it was Urban Street Window Works. A client of ours had it, and they talked about that. One of their technicians, they would kind of put the photo in, when he was featuring reviews, and got a little bit of a status in a sense. So like, oh, hey, you're that guy. Oh, I saw you on the website a bunch. And so, yeah, you can build a little, I'll say, friendly competition within and stuff like that. But as you talked about, you have the ability within NiceJob, but in manual processing, and we're working on some of the ways to make it almost fully automated from some other places that you may be using photo software. But you can attach a photo to the review request. And that's what we highly recommend. It's going to even up that conversion rate even higher, because now not only is it just a text or a click link there, it's also even more personalized because they're seeing their work there. And then that photo goes along with the review. So the platforms where we can post that photo along with it, it will be accompanied, be posted on your Google My Business as a post. With Facebook, it will combine with the review and the recommendation at that point. So again, NiceJob. The fun battle that we get to have is it can be something you can set and forget. You can build the automations, you can set the automatic triggers and have it where you don't really have to look at it again. But now we're giving you more and more that if you have the time or you have the resources or you're getting to that point, you can go in and make it even exponentially better, have more data. As I kind of alluded to before, we now have where we're review topics, where we're analyzing, and unlike where it's like keyword tracking, it's actual machine learning. So you find out the sentiment within your reviews. You can find out exactly what all your reviews are saying collectively, know what things you should hit in your marketing copy, know what things, we also have positive and negative topics. So things that you might want to look to keep an eye on or change or adjust. We're really allowing you to have the opportunity to monitor your reputation, but also have an effective process to keep growing it the right way. And I can't say it enough. This change from going from the old to the new, from reputation management to reputation marketing, this is why this isn't something I'm putting on. This is general excitement that myself and everyone else in the company share, because this is the thing that people have been asking for, is how can they actually keep their finger on the pulse, but also how can they start building good long-term relationships with clients. And
cool.
That's what reputation marketing does for you.
I just finished a notebook off with this call, and I need to order another one. I just finished off like 5 pages. There's been, even just being on the show, I write everything down. And so you just helped me finish off a notebook. I get to open up another one, brand new notebook. That was a lot of great stuff. Even as a user, I'm currently using the software. I picked up a lot of ways I'm going to improve my processes and actually maybe hyper engage some of the users that we're already getting and really improve. Like when we do those second asks, like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and put a photo in there. And that'll be really cool when those automations start happening and it gets added to your Google reviews in the future. I mean, how much more powerful of a Google review is that going to be with that image added on? It's going to be incredible.
I'm just thinking the post you post to your Google My Business. It's the direct connection that we're working on the last little bit, so that it falls all the way through. But the photos do go through and post on your Google My Business. It's the full attachment that we have to re-engage in that sense.
I'm just thinking from a competitive advantage standpoint. I mean, we've talked about this for a good while, that technology more and more is, as service providers, as cleaning businesses, the more we leverage technology, the more we're going to be, be competitive. Or said another way, the competitive landscape is going to be driven by technology. And if we aren't leveraging it and keeping up with it, we're going to be falling behind. And to hear that you guys are using AI to look at all the reviews that you're getting to figure out, what are the things that your customers are saying about you that creates, quality in their mind, so you can then turn around and use that in your marketing copy. That's mind blowing. So, what's in the pipeline? What's this going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Can you, we've got about 5 minutes left. Can you give us just a hint as to where all this is going?
Yeah, for sure. So where reputation marketing is going is about giving business owners way more data and kind of aligning all those decisions, right? So in particular, Matt, would you mind? I actually can show your insights.
Sure.
If you're all right there, we'll take a look.
Cool.
My screen
I share my stuff all the time, so that's awesome.
Well, the reason I ask in particular is I also know, and this one's going to be your topics and things like that. Where is that tab there? But this one doesn't have customer data, but just in case. So you guys seen, this is the NiceJob dashboard. This is the insights tab here. So you see these are the positive topics. These are the negative topics there. And so the negative topics does not mean negative reviews. It means sentiment that might be apparent in some reviews. These percentages all being really, really low, you're doing great in that sense. But But what you can do is you see like careful, experienced, organized. You can see how many, so 62 of 441 reviews talk about being careful, talk about being experienced, talk about being organized, friendly. And these, so these topics, these are kind of categories that we're giving. We're always fine tuning and improving those. So Tom, as you asked about the next, 2, 3, 5 years from now, is these are going to get even, more, you can go even more micro, give a little bit more feedback, explain that. But when you click through, so click through friendly here, it's going to show you is how many of these friendly reviews, when you're getting them, how much it, increased maybe, time over time. Employee leaderboard, you'll have to go in and manually do this, but you'll see who's actually collecting these reviews. But then within topics, you can see, all right, who's actually getting the friendly reviews. This one, usually for a lot of our other home services where they have some other CRMs that are a little bit more connected, this is fully automated, but this one, you kind of go through. But even going through there is that you can click and drill down, and these are the ones. So these are specifically curated to which ones talk about these sentiments, right? And so now you have the ability of like, hey, I want to make an ad that talks about us being, guarantee or honoring our guarantees, or our great customer service. We can go in and see which team members are doing that. You can go in and see how many reviews it is, but you also can go and find the specific ad copy that you can then put in there. And so where the future is going with all this is reputation marketing is going to turn into something where it's so much aligned with your core values as it is a process of marketing. And so what that looks like is eventually able to set up so that you're able to identify key metrics that you want to achieve. So something like we're going to feature relatively revolves around goals, right? So we want a goal of 50 reviews this month, or we want a goal where a certain percentage of our reviews talk about this. You can really start to build expectations, and build the bar, but also build the pathways for whoever's on your team. So you don't have to tell them, you don't have to answer that question to them, where are we going in 1, 2, or 5 years? You can lay that out for them. In the NiceJob sense is we are always looking to improve in a way that's not going to take the business owner's time. We go back to one of our core statements of, we learned marketing, you learned your skill. Let's just work together. You don't have to learn ours. We're going to try to learn yours a little bit, but we're not going to be good at it. And that's what we're looking for. We're also looking for things like a referral. So to help automate that sort of process, to take people that have left you reviews, put them to allow them, to give them the power to refer you to their friends, their family, their neighbors, even people they don't like, but just for some reason they want them to have good service, to build that up. That's a lot more. I don't want to go too far because whenever I do these, I get really excited. The engineers are going, hey, we have to build this. You just have to go look pretty and talk about it. Maybe don't say 5 years here, but the goal for this,
we know this dance. We know this.
The goal for NiceJob, how it's evolved from when we first started is it's now reputation marketing as just reputation management because that's the future. But our goal will still be to help business owners and get them the reputation they deserve. Fun little thing I can say is you can't work at NiceJob unless at some point during your interview process, you talk about your desire and your want to help other people. So we are driven by that. And it happens to manifest in people that are incredibly good at building software, incredibly good at, connecting with business owners and getting them the software they deserve, incredibly good at writing newsletters, doing marketing, looking okay on camera. That's what we're built at. But at our core is if we can do something that's going to help you get the reputation, maintain it, and use it to accomplish your goals, that's a feature that'll be coming to NiceJob. How it exactly manifests, short term, it'll be things like connecting to Instagram, a couple other review platforms. Long term, as I said, it'll be really drilling down so that it becomes this robust data center that you're now personalizing for your business to accomplish your goals.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'm going to put your website up. Get.nicejob.com.
We got .com. If you're familiar, we were .co for a long time, but we got .com. So
probably charged you a little bit for it.
Get.nicejob.com. NiceJob.com also works if you're in a real rush. If you're not in a rush, get.nicejob.com/grow-your-business. Grow-your-business. I'll send that over. But that one's just a little bit more kind of direct there. But yeah, get.nicejob.com. Come check us out. Also, feel free if you want to reach out to me, Shawn, spelled correctly, SHAWN, at nicejob.com. Happy to get in touch to anything about us, or if you just want to chat more about reputation marketing and not about NiceJob, I'm always happy to hear my own voice.
This was awesome. Thank you, Shawn. This was good information. Excited to continue this journey of reputation marketing. This is, Liz, we used to run yellow page ads, right?
Yeah.
Tom,
Okay.
stop now.
Well, that pretty much
Thanks so
does it
much,
for the
everybody.
week.
Appreciate it.
Matt, Liz, Shawn, we will be back here Monday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Take care.